Tennis superstar and anti-mandate icon Novak Djokovic has won his appeal to remain in Australia, with a judge also ordering his release from immigration detention yesterday. Djokovic has been forced to isolate in a Melbourne hotel after his visa was revoked by Australian border officials when he entered the country last week to participate in a tennis tournament. However, Djokovic might still be facing deportation. The Australian immigration minister could still cancel his visa, leading to a 3-year ban from the country.
In response, the tennis star tweeted, quote, "I am pleased and grateful that the judge overturned my visa cancellation. Despite all that has happened in the past week, I want to stay and to try to compete at the Australian Open. I remain focused on that."
And we wanted to discuss this with Kim. She's not feeling well today, so it's just us, but she's been following this most closely.
She doesn't think it's COVID.
She does not think it's COVID. She said on the show she's already had it. So anyway, and you know, her point during her radar, which everyone can check out if they want more on this, was that it can feel, I think, a little unfair to people that if he gets to compete because of all the requirements, like the vast tyranny that all people in Australia have been forced to live under. Right. There's always these little exceptions for the elites. You know, we've seen that in our country with Met Gala and sports and things. But I don't think, and Kim as well doesn't want those requirements anyway. So then it's like, do you enforce these draconian things on everyone, or what if you enforce it unevenly? Also,
him competing is not just for him. Like, it would make a much better Australian Open for all the suffering people of Australia and the world who want to watch a good Australia Open. And also, if you want to make it logical at this point, you can just say, look, well, now he's been in this wretched immigration detention for days. You can test him, and you can find out whether or not he actually has COVID. So you can argue that from a public health perspective, this is not a problem. And as I mentioned before, of all of the sports that are COVID safe, tennis is
right.
Highest among them. Maybe golf, like if you want to, because golf, you're outdoors, right, and you can make say, hey, I'm hitting over here. Keep your distance. Stay upwind from stay sidewind from me. Whereas
bowling
tennis,
be another one.
But bowling's indoors, though.
But you got to sit around, I guess.
And you sit, yeah. But tennis, you don't have to come anywhere near your opponent. We'll say, you know what? No shaking hands. Fine. If everybody wants to, you can
bocce ball.
There you go.
You ever play bocce ball?
Well, yeah, but you're kind of near the person.
Near the person. No, you got me again.
But it's all any outdoor sport,
right,
though, is. But I'm saying tennis among them has got to be like the safest, in the sense that he could go to Australia and essentially never come into contact with anybody. Like they could try to arrange that. Give him a car, keep the windows up.
Frisbee.
Right through the tunnel. Frisbee golf.
Frisbee golf. Do you have contact in Frisbee golf?
No, ultimate Frisbee, you'd be close to people.
Right.
But with Frisbee golf, yeah. Outdoors, in the woods, tossing the disc.
We're going to get CDC permission for that?
Yeah, I think CDC approves of Frisbee golf in the pandemic at this point. Meanwhile, supporters of Djokovic have taken to the streets in Melbourne and are clashing with police, doesn't seem safe, who have used tear gas to try to disperse the crowd. That's always the irony, is that you have people like on top of each other. Now
right.
It's outdoors.
It's for safety. Yes, right. we must. COVID is dangerous, and we must force you to socially distance. And we're going to enforce this by tackling you and having dogs maul you. It's for your safety.
Yes.
Don't feel safe.
But yeah, it feels like.
Well, it feels like it just should not be enforced. I don't think these things should be enforced at all. But when you're tackling people, when you're attacking people, when you have. This is bad. We don't want to empower police to do that. We don't want to do it here. But we've not seen this kinds of. Now we haven't had to enforce things in the the don't gather stuff with police because people have just complied willingly, and we don't really have a prohibition on outdoor you can't actually, because the First Amendment protects people's rights domestically in our country to engage in protests. But we haven't seen a lot of anti-mandate protests in this country, which I find interesting.
Right. Yeah, we don't have a huge protest culture.
You think so? Well, we do, kind of. We had a lot of all the BLM stuff.
Yes, BLM.
And Trump stuff.
I mean, Trump, the Women's March.
Right.
But and you did have a bunch of smaller protests outside state capitals around it, but nothing on the scale of Europe. Like what I would say is we don't have the same protest culture that Europe has. I put it that way. Like in Paris, getting 10,000 people together to protest something is like a Tuesday over there. It's kind of like the outlet for their political frustrations that has developed over hundreds of years of not being able to expand there was French colonialism, but in the U.S. we were constantly expanding out west. So anybody protesting who had a problem, people were like, just go out there then, get yourself a farm. And so that developed as the outlet to our frustrations.
I've never thought about that.
Whereas in France, they don't have that. And so they would protest right in the streets, overthrow their government, do a new constitution, behead somebody. So it's like the way you respond.
It's kind of, our way's kind of, in some ways, better. But I mean, we've run out of space.
That's the problem.
Yeah. But we're a big country with different, this can be good that, if you don't like the policies of this place, you should obviously have a right to try to change them through the democratic process. If you don't get your way, well, you can go find a place that more people are doing that right now. I know people moving from New York to Florida because they have kids and they're like, Jesus Christ, these schools are never going to be open on a regular, like a time frame I can plan my week around. So to hell with it, I'm out, I'm moving to Florida.
Right. The problem is it's set up. So we felt like we had designed this really effective system of self-government when underneath it was based on kind of genocide and expropriation as the outlet to the contradictions that were inside the system. And then we'd try to export it to other places and be like, why isn't it working? Oh, you're not doing enough exploitation, expropriation, and then genocide. If you do more of that. But the other contradiction setups, once you've gone coast to coast, then what are you going to do? Well, we know what we're going to do. Then we're going to, Central America, South America, Monroe Doctrine.
Colonize Mars, eventually.
Right, exactly. Then it has to get increasingly absurd.
If you don't like it, you can move to Mars.
Right.
That's what we're going to get to.
Yeah, I guess the new thing is you can be an influencer.
You can be an influencer.
Right. Yeah, right. That's the new. That's the new go west. If you don't like it, you can just your Instagram account is going to free you from the kind of the wage slavery that we're trying to chain you in.
Free you from the mass formation psychosis.
Right, that's your only way out
of the psychosis. We'll have more Rising right after this. Stay with us.